Hello there, Gamerinos and Gamerinas. Welcome to UnicornStorm. This is Rady, and today I'm going to tell you whether or not Balan Wonderworld is worth your while. And oh dear, this game could have been great. When I first saw a trailer and screenshots from the game, it reminded me of Nights into Dreams. And from what I've heard, a lot of developers from the original Nights game came over to Arcest Corp and, well, worked on Balan Wonderworld. The game looks a lot like Nights and sounds a lot like Nights, and it uses some concepts from Nights, like the magical trickster who helps children to solve their problems, and all the little stories throughout the plot are like relatable problems caused by nightmarish creatures, and the children have to help the titular Balan to defeat those nightmare creatures. So yeah, it's a lot like Nights. So it isn't too surprising that the game turned out as it has. I can respect the Nights series, but to me it was always more of a neat concept than an actual good game. And it's the same with Balan Wonderworld, though this game has a few more issues. One thing though that people complain about that isn't really a problem is the number of buttons used in this game. So you can move around and control the camera, and every other button lets you jump. So you have exactly one action in this game. Well, kinda. And when you're running around as a kid, it's jumping. And this might be unusual for a modern game, but as it is, there's nothing wrong with it. The issue lies more in how movement handles. So movement speed is completely digital, so you can either walk or run, but you can turn around in increments. So it's pretty much okay. When running, you reach max speed instantly and you come to a full stop in an instant as well. And while it is precise, there's no real sense of momentum. And sometimes there's a noticeable lack of weight. Also, while the lack of inertia might add precision to movement, the two-gear digital movement makes it a bit harder to orient your character or making small adjustments. But all this isn't too bad. Jumping though just feels wrong. You lose all your momentum in mid-air and it's like some invisible force pushes you back when you jump. Instead of gaining more distance, your jump just stops at its highest point. There's no real jump arc. It's a bit like jumping in Castlevania. That always felt a bit weird. But it kinda worked in a 2D environment. But in a 3D platformer, this just isn't right. But jumping isn't the only thing you can do, because the whole game is designed around the use of costumes. So in each level you come across a bunch of these crystals that can be unlocked with keys you also find in each level. After collecting a crystal, your character gets a new costume to wear and a new ability to use. This might be a higher jump or a longer jump. This might be the ability to float. This might be an attack or a ability needed for certain puzzles. This costume ability replaces your jump, so you have to be a bit careful about managing your costumes so to not get stuck in a situation with no way out. Because you can only hold onto 3 costumes. If you collect a 4th costume, you will lose the one in your 3rd quick slot. Sometimes there's no real need for a specific costume and you can just use what you're most comfortable with. But sometimes there are specific challenges and puzzles in a level where you need to use the correct costume and you won't find every costume in every level. So sometimes you have to hold onto some costume that you don't really need throughout most of the level, but have to use this one time right at the end of a level. It helps though that you can save your costumes to a kinda changing room. So from how I understand it, every time you collect a fourth costume, the third one in your quick slots gets sent to your changing room, and every time you start a level or reach a checkpoint, you can enter the changing room and swap between all available costumes. If you get hit by an enemy though, you will lose the costume you are wearing at that moment. There are some neat moments where you have to use the right costume, but most of the time you're just going through the motions. Levels in this game are bonkers. Each stage has a different theme and objects, big and small, associated with it are littered throughout the level. And so it has this kinda dreamlike design that reminds me a bit of old Sega Genesis platformers, where most of the visual diversity came from the background art. So in one level there were huge candy cones in the background, and in the next it was carrots, and the next it was tombstones and something like that. And this game does pretty much the same. In the farm level, everything's littered with giant corn cobs or pitchforks or wheelbarrows or things like that. The library is a huge tree where enormous books are lying around everywhere. The clock tower is full of cogs and moving objects. And in the wind level, a huge whale that's also an island is soaring through the sky. And the different visual design in each stage also affects the gameplay. Sometimes there's more of an emphasis on platforming, sometimes more on exploration, sometimes more on puzzle solving. There's always 2 levels in a stage, and after completing them you have to defeat a boss. And the levels are convoluted as hell. They are huge and sprawling out in every direction, even though most of the time it's more or less a straight line to the goal. But collectibles are hidden in a way more akin to open world games or collectathon platformers. There are gems to collect, which would be your coins. Then there are golden hats that offer a bonus QTE challenge, and golden statues that you need to find to open up more stages in the hub world. The gold standard for collectibles in a linear game would be Super Mario 3D World. Levels are focused and tightly crafted, and collectibles are cleverly hidden. In this game though, you have to roam around endlessly, even though the time needed to get from start to finish is maybe a few minutes. But you pretty much have to explore every pixel of this game because gems are hidden everywhere and you often have to backtrack to get everything. And a lot of these golden statues require you to jump through and over the background decoration, and it feels more like an exploit, but not in a clever way. More like missing the obvious solution. So yeah, even though there aren't that many levels and they aren't that long, you will spend a lot of time in each level. And I wouldn't say that it can't be fun, but it's a bit tedious. It helps though that I really like the art design, and the music is pretty good as well. Levels are colorful and characters and costumes are creatively designed, though your standard enemies are a bit bland. But graphically the game isn't much to talk about. It's cute and nice to look at, but not that demanding. So why do I have to put up with constant frame drops? The game runs like shit on Nintendo Switch. And I don't understand why. The graphics aren't that great. There are only a few enemies in a level and they only appear when you're in a specific area. And there aren't too many moving parts. So I guess the game is just horribly optimized. Maybe it runs better on PS4 or PC. They already released a patch to fix an issue with flashing lights to not cause seizures. So maybe there will be a patch that fixes some of the frame rate issues. But as it stands right now, the game is barely playable on Nintendo Switch. Without the performance issues, the game would be a mediocre platformer targeted at children with some neat little ideas. I really like the art design. I really like the, I guess, protagonist. And I like how you can collect eggs in each level and bring them back to your hub world to let them hatch into little things and feed them with the gems you collected to have them grow and generate energy to build some kind of Rube Goldberg device in your hub. I like how every level looks totally different from each other, and I really like this puzzle element that comes with the costumes. But nothing in this game pushes the boundaries, nothing stands out. I guess it's a fine game for families to play with their children, but you won't find anything here that other games haven't done better. There's a lot of untapped potential here, but I don't believe that anything will be done with it in the future. And if this game was a $10 indie game, I wouldn't mind too much. But this game was published by Square Enix for a premium AAA price. And no, it isn't worth 50 or 60 bucks. And this seems to be a problem unique to Square Enix. Every other publisher has their catalog of indie games or AA games or whatever you will call it that are way cheaper than their big releases. But Square Enix refuses to release games for less than 50 bucks. That's an issue I had with their Tokyo Factory RPGs, and it's the same with this game. When I pay a premium price, I want to get a premium product. And I don't mind a bit of jank or a lack of polish, as long as the price tag reflects that. So yeah, if you want a janky, casual platformer that's more targeted towards kids, then you can get a bit of fun out of this game. But please don't pay full price for it. Wait for a sale or buy it used, but don't cough up 50 or 60 bucks for this. And with that, I bid you adieu. Have a great day. That's it from Rady. And I hope to see you again on the next game.